Welcome back to Super Sentai Review, episode number 159. This I'm reviewing episodes 37 to 42, and with this point, I am halfway through Gorenger. Yes, and it's also the conclusion to the second batch of episodes I'm going to do. Before I talk about the episodes themselves, I'm actually, when I come back to think about I'm actually going to work on One Piece, work on a new set of episodes, but when I come back from watching that, I am going to just go through the rest of the episodes. Watch all the remaining 42. Just to get this done, and just basically move something else. I am enjoying watching Gorenger. I enjoy it. Some goofiness, basically, this thing is expected. And it just basically... Now, you probably think, at this point in time, does it irritate me that I don't see a freaking Megazord? No, because I knew for a fact this wasn't going to feature one. So, there's that. Now, mostly put, a lot of these are mostly standalone episodes. There's only a quick two-parter. Yeah, 38, 39 is basically a two-part. Now, 37 is quite interesting. And also the first time that the commander goes out in the field, this one. So they get basically info about a party and alliance between this organization known as Black Hole and, of course, the Black Grass Army. Now, you're probably thinking, an alliance between two evil nations? Like, does this sound very familiar? Yes, it also happened in Kamen Rider during the last, 19 episodes of that series, the original one anyways, where Shocker formed an alliance with Geld. They basically merged with the organization. And it seems like that was going to happen here too, but the Go Rangers thwart that. And it basically, this is also kind of the first time they ever see the Black Cross Sphere in person for the first time. And of course, the commander goes out in the field. Now, the last time he kind of went out in the field was when he was captured. This is the first time officially he's gone to battle, kind of, and where they also have, that the supposedly Go Rangers are captured, but nope, these are not the Go Rangers, these are imposters. There's the real Go Rangers right up there. And by the way, the monsters one is known as the Fork Monster. Yes, one of the weirdest monsters I have ever seen. You think that, of course, I was seeing Sentai yesterday about Boat Your Mask. Yeah, that one's weird. How about a guy whose mask is a freaking fork? Yeah. Oh, by the way, Yellow Ranger, who's posing as a member of Black Hole, is like, I need a fork. And, of course, Fork just takes a fork out of his head. Look up the pointy is not in his head. He's like, oh, thank you. He just trying to be polite. He just eats the food like normal, like he normally does. Yeah, and they kind of figure out right away that, yeah, this actually is the Go Rangers, but this actually, of course, we're going to mask Black Cross Fury, and nope, this is not him, just a stand-in. And there's the real one. They try to catch him and gets away. And, of course, he drives off there. Of course, Fork is basically sure by the end of the episode. He's a quite interesting one, to say the least. But this was a very good episode. I like the whole idea of them seeing Black Cross Fury in person for the first time. And you might not see him posing, but he hopes to see him posing later. Don't worry about that. Now, in the case of 38, 39. This is mostly a two-parter where they're trying to get their hands on this treasure, which turns out it actually contains a meteorite that basically has an expert anti-gravity. Yeah, and this guy who we've been searching for all his life, by the way, he's actually a plot point in halfway through episode 38, and he's killed off halfway through the very next episode. Yes, the guy who we spent a good amount of time basically focusing on, he's there for the next episode and he gets killed off. And I'm like, what was the point of having him there? So they developed their weapon, basically the gravity weapon. So basically their plan is simply to use this weapon to basically cause people, cars, and buildings to fly up in the air and crash on the ground and kill them, causing a lot of destruction. That's really their plan. Though the weapon, they do kind of succeed in getting their hands in the meteor. Apparently in the meteor, there's this special crystal that basically where the anti-gravity comes in. And it's passed along to a group of kids. Kid passed on to his older sister. Very beautiful woman she is for the 70s. And then, of course, Peggy gets her hands on it. Then eventually gets to get back to Black Cross Army. Though the device is eventually destroyed by the end of the episode. And here's the thing. The hotel they go to in this two-parter, they actually go back to in episode 41. Interesting. 40 is a focused episode on Peggy, where she is captured by the Black Cross Army and brainwashed. And during this hypnosis, she can't transform. And the whole thing with this episode, she cannot transform, no matter how hard she tries. And eventually, by the end, she does eventually transform. So they do the Gorenger Storm. I gotta admit, that was actually a really good plot over that one. By the way, the monsters one is known as Steel Mask, and he's basically like a devil, and he's not like basically like he. Here's the thing: he's actually the first one since like episode 31 where he's not one of the Iron Man Mask Generals. Iron Man Mask General, one of his monsters. Yeah, this actually was not one of his. This actually was one of the independent monsters, and this first one says Iron Tube Mask. And here's something for you. There is actually one left. Yeah, there is one left. Yep. Then by the very next episode of Iron Lion Mask, which basically they go back to the hotel, which they were just there, and of course they don't bring up the whole events of the previous episodes. Oh no, they've been there before. I thought it was interesting how they went back there. As far as I could tell, this is the first time I can think of in Sentai that I can think of where they actually go back to location, which I thought that was interesting. Yep. And what's the plot of 41, you might ask? Well, aside from the fact we're visiting basically a hotel, it just basically got their hands on this bomb, which, here's the strange thing about this episode. The events of this episode just kind of lead into the very next episode, which is basically episode 42, which is the finale for Iron Man Mask General Tamagen and the debut of Volcano Mask General Magman. Yeah. So, yeah, the General himself basically is not cowardly per se. He does basically allow his own monsters. Now, this one he has no monsters. I think that the last one he had was the last one, so he basically is doing it himself. And of course, Black Cross Fear brought another battalion to work with him. He's like, no, I really basically do this myself. And he was like, oh, the Gorengers are my prey. And by the way, he gets hit with 2 Gorenger Storms, and he freezes both of them. Though also, it seems like he's trying to help out the Gorenger, but like, no, I just freeze so I can kill you myself. And eventually that the Velvedorm gets attacked. Of course, they have to basically send it landing, of course. And we have the Iron Man General basically fly it. And then, of course, basically is piloted by, of course, the Blue Ranger, which, of course, the thing explodes thanks to one of the Gorenger Storms things that was on the General's shoulder, falls off and explodes, destroying the machine. Yes, so the Valdorm, which has been there since episode 1, is destroyed by the end of the episode. But by the end of the episode, we do see its replacement, the Valdorian. Yes. Basically, more of a bird-like one. It looks more like appearance-wise, it's been more slimmer version of the one they use in the show. And is also the debut of the Val Tank. Yeah, something they do in fact use from 42 up until the final episode. Yeah, which that's going to be quite interesting to say the least. Now, basically with the debut of the Volcano Mask, he also brings it along his personal base, which comes out of the ground and it goes back into the ground, which is similar to that. It's similar kind of in a way to Deathopia from Gogo 5 several Sentai later. But I gotta say, basically, the way they handled the destruction of the Veldorn basically was very nice. They gave a good, basically, like a proper goodbye. Now, I'm sure the General himself probably was respected by the Gorengers for his being a good fighter. And we see him take up his cape for the first time. And only time, mind you. And of course, Black Cross Fuhrer basically appreciates his sacrifice and considers his death very honorable compared to Sun Mask, who died in embarrassment. Yeah, and then of course you have Volcano Mask. And from what I've read, he is not around very long. Nope, so they basically brought this guy in, and he's not there very long. Oh, don't worry about that. I'll get back to him when I finish up One Piece, the new set of episodes. Yep, but in the case of the Iron General himself, good character. I like him. I like his look. He may be vicious per se. And here's the thing. Unlike other generals who were afraid of taking punishment, he apparently had no problem with it. He basically accepted being punished. He also, at one point, like, where he actually wanted to be executed for failing the Führer. Though, thanks to his air, we got introduced to the first, sort of in a way, jet fighters for a villain organization, the Condors. Yeah, the flying Condors we actually have here, which are basically like flying bicycles. We can shoot like little guns on it. Which, I appreciate the fact that this is basically his era's debut. This, yes, and also he was the first like one who's referred to as a general. Compared to some Halo Master, who technically he was, but he was around for a very short period of time. How long was he around for? About half a dozen episodes before he got killed off. At least in the case of the general himself, he was on for 20. He basically died 23 episodes after his debut. He debuted back in episode 20, and here he dies 22 episodes later. Yeah, so at least he was around for a good period of time. Yep, but not much else to say about these episodes. Are good, and I can't wait to get back to them. But we have to watch One Piece. Okay, so you're probably curious though. What about my other anime episodes yesterday? I might get time to do a couple of them tonight. I'm hoping to get a chance to lot in the next couple of days. I hope so. And I'm hoping also to stop the whole thing of basically just running out of time. Yeah. Next video. Bye.